So what is an algorithm? Chances are you already know. A lot of people think it is something far more complex than it is. We're going to explain it to you right now. So a lot of people hear the term algorithm and they think of, some mega smart professor and some supercomputer, and you have to do all these calculations and you have to be a mega genius. But the reality is that you all use algorithms every single day. You just don't know it. To put it simply, an algorithm is a process by which decisions are made based on conditions. So if you have conditions A and B that line up, then you would make decision 1. And if, say, after that happened, conditions C or D lined up, you would make decisions 2 or 3 depending on that condition. You do this every single day. But going to the store is an algorithm. If you leave your house, you take a right, and then you take a left on this street, and then once you get there, you're going to take a left on that street, and you get to the store, right? But if that street is blocked, you might have to take another route. So the condition is that you have open streets when you take that left and a right and a left. That's your normal way. So condition open street, decision make these turns, result is you get to the store. All right. Well, if one of those streets is blocked, you have to take different turns. So condition B occurs, right? It's no longer a clear street. So you got to take 3 rights and 4 lefts, and those are your new decisions, they're your new actions based on different conditions. Tying your shoes is an algorithm. It's really, really a very simple term. It's a very old term. It goes back to antiquity. So what we do in trading is we translate this, right? When anybody's trades successfully, whether they know it or not, they're using an algorithm. I would be hard-pressed to find anybody who is not using an algo in trading successfully, right? Everything's pretty much an algo anyway. So what we do is we keep it pretty simple, and we use technology that is available to us for free or next to free, and we go ahead and create a methodology by which we can predict price movement, and then if we're able to do that, we can trade and win trades. So another way to think of an algorithm is like a vehicle, right? So when they're making a vehicle at a factory, you have to put all the parts together in a certain order, and all those parts have to exist in the car. So you can have a car with all the proper parts. You have all the wheels, you can have the engine, you can have doors, you can have bearings, you name it. It's all in there. But if you're missing that transmission, that car is not going anywhere. It might look nice, it might sound good, but that car is not going to move because you are missing a very valid piece of the puzzle, right? So this is why we are Algo Factory. What we do is, first of all, we dispel this big mystery around the idea of algorithms, right? We keep it really simple. And then once we do that, we help you understand how to, in a very assembly line nature, put together your own algorithm. And it is simple. It does not require some kind of advanced degree, understanding of mathematics. You don't have to have a supercomputer. You really technically could do it on your phone, although I prefer to use a bigger screen than that. It really is something that you do it every day. We do it every day. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at an algo right now. I'm going to build one for you. It's going to be a very simple algo, right? So let's flip over to that display. Okay, so we're looking at the Bitcoin chart, and we're going to build a very basic algorithm. I'm going to make this pretty basic for people who might be new to trading. Okay, so we're going to start at the beginning. These candlesticks represent price action for Bitcoin. So if you look to the right, you have 43,000, 42,000. You can see this candle is moving down, and that means price went down during that half-hour period. These are all 30-minute candles, okay? Now, we're going to have some conditions, we're going to have some actions. An algorithm works when you have your conditions line up, then you take an action, and then you have other conditions that will cause you to take other actions. Technically, you don't really need C, D, 2, and 3 for it to be an algorithm, but for it to be something that might win trading, you're going to have more conditions and more actions. Okay, so we're going to use some indicators. Indicators mathematically represent a lot of the data that you see on the screen, and quite frankly, a lot that is not on the screen. And it gives us a graphic representation that allows us to see if price might go up or if price might go down, right? It's part of a whole matrix of data that we use to trade. So in this case, we're going to use 2 very popular, very basic indicators that you'll probably become very familiar with. One's called the Relative Strength Index. The other one is called MACD, otherwise known as Moving Average Convergence Divergence, okay? Looks like I already had them on the screen from a prior example, so we're going to take these off and we're going to take these off. Okay, so we're going to create some conditions, right, for when I'm going to enter a trade. The first condition involves the relative strength index. This is going to be condition A, right? So we'll go ahead and label this with a helpful A. Okay, so condition A is when this purple line goes below this dotted line. That means that the RSI is oversold, which what that means is that there's a good chance price will pop up from here, okay? That's what it means from an effective standpoint, okay? So there's condition A right here. Now we're going to look at the MACD for condition B, okay? Condition B is going to happen when the blue line crosses up above this orangish yellowish line, okay? So that also is an indication that price may go upwards, okay? So this is condition B. Now let's go back to the price chart and we will see what happens here as these conditions occur. Okay, condition A happens, condition B happens. I draw a line at condition B. And as that occurs, I'm going to go ahead and enter a trade. This is action 1. Okay, action 1 is entering a trade. So in our trade, we're going to have what's called an entry, which is where we enter, right here. We're going to have what's called a stop loss, which is where I would exit the trade if it goes against me so I can limit my loss. And then we're going to have a target where I would exit the trade in profit, okay? So that being the case, here is what we call a long box, which is a tool that you will become very familiar with over at Algo Factory. And in this case, action 2 happened. Okay, so action 2, I'm sorry, forgive me. This would be condition C, okay? So condition C happens when price goes to target, okay? So that's, oops, it's right here. Condition D would happen if price went to my stop loss, meaning that I did not win this trade, okay? So that would be condition D. And condition D did not happen. So whatever action is associated with condition D, I don't have to worry about because it's got, it didn't happen, right? Condition D means I exit the trade at a loss. That's action, 3. Action 2 is when condition C happens, is when price comes to this area, I exit at a win. And to say it one more time, when condition D happens, as price goes to my loss, action 3 is that I get out, okay? So let's go ahead and see if we can find a trade where this happens again, all right? So let's do some helpful cleaning up. And we will move forward. Let's move this here for some reference. We'll do it like this. Okay, so we got our helpful, well, let's use our arrows here. We have condition, what is it? A, right there, okay? And then we have condition B. Condition A, we have the RSI going below that dotted line 30 right there, okay? So let's mark that out. Condition B, we have MACD crossing up, where again we're talking about the orange line above, below the blue line, or the blue line to go above the orange line. So let me say that properly. Orange line below the blue, blue above orange, right? And that occurs right here with condition A having already happened before that. So your conditions have happened at this yellow line. So now we're going to look for a trade with the price going up, okay? So let's close the indicators, and we're going to go ahead and have our entry right here. We're going to have our stop loss, which would be a future condition D down here. We're going to have our target, which is a future condition C up here. We're going to use our long box just to make this easy to see. And remember, D is what happens when price goes against me, and I want to exit the trade to limit my loss. Okay, that's action, that's condition D, which as we can see, that is what happens here. So you have condition D, which is action 3, which is exiting at a loss. Now we could have had condition C, which is action 2, which is exiting at a win. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm kind of making this, I would say, almost more complex than it needs to be. But what we have here again are just conditions that lead to actions, right? In this case, we get a loss. In the prior one, we had a win, okay? Now, just so you understand, what I do and what we do over at Algo Factory is we build these algorithms, we tune them to where we have an idea of how often they win and how often they lose. And then we back test them over a long period of time. I shouldn't say a long period of time, it might only be months, but we take our time to go through 200 back tests. Now, for some people, that could be done in a few days. For others, it might take a bit longer. Sometimes back testing can take weeks. It just, really depends on your dedication, your work ethic, and your spare time. So this being the case, though, once you're able to determine, say, that, oh, well, this algo is successful 65% of the time, and there's some other factors that go into it, but you can basically determine how much money you might be able to make, and you can estimate it. You can estimate it with a statistical degree of probability, and that way you can actually deploy this and use it to make money. And I can almost guarantee you that your first one, you might do well with it. I have some clients that have done really well on their first algo. But at the same time, it's a learning experience. You're going to learn so much when you do that first algorithm. And if all this seems complicated to you, don't let it seem that way. We make it very simple. We're in here. We have our Telegram room. We answer questions like 24/7. I mean, if you put, I might be trading at 2 a.m. If you're over in Europe or something, like I'm very often up and trading in those times. Not every day, not most days, but often. And even if you had a question the night before, I will answer it the next day. If you have questions, I will do an entire video around your questions. We have one of the best, most underrated services you can find. We give so much for so little at $49.99 a month. And I'm going to tell you right now, that price is going to go up, right? We're going to add members and we're going to need more staff. We're going to have a lot more expenses. This price that we're offering right now is not going to be around. So please come join us. Come check us out. We have people who have never traded before, and they have built algorithms that are already showing a lot of promise, and some of them are trading them, and they're winning trades. This is really remarkable. So we hope to see you over there. Catch you later.